right, so this is my 2020 401 Svartpilen. So I just got this bike. To be quite honest, I changed the slip-on. I removed the chamber. I haven't even ridden the bike, besides kind of going around my neighborhood or whatever, but I haven't really taken the bike out. But when you get a new bike, and if you're like me and you have a channel that's called To Mod or Not To Mod, like all I can think about is like, what can I do to make this bike stand out, or maybe just a little bit different, or just try new things. So I guess better if I show you. So I decided that I want to give it a try to see if it's true that I can fit RC390 or Duke 390 wheels on my Svartpilen. So I didn't intend for this video to turn into a tutorial of how to remove the wheels, but if you're already here, these are 6s. So you want to remove the pinch bolts before you do everything, but I'm not completely undoing them because I need some of the pressure so I can undo this one. So this is a 13 now. Okay, this is a 13, two number 6s, and I'm going to now that I undo that one, I'm going to undo completely the 6s so I can allow for movement on the axle. So they're now loosened. This is a very stubby, so let me see if I can do it with this. Oh yeah. So now I'm going to carefully just push the axle to the other side, and I can pull the axle. I'm gonna check for spacers. So here's a spacer, here's a spacer, and I should be able to, oh, I forgot the caliper. Richard, come on, you know better. Okay, so I now have my 12. I'm gonna hold the wheel. Okay. So now I have the spacer here. I'm going to put it to the side, make sure that I don't forget. This is not going to be hanging for long, so I'm not super concerned. And now I'm just going to be pulling the wheel. And the spacers I'm going to remove 1, 2, so I keep them the same way I brought them out. And now let me just show you something. That last time I showed you that we can install this wheel with this rotor on a Svartpilen 2020 with no issues, and clearance was perfect and whatnot. The only thing that was different is the fact that on a Svartpilen you have this type of rotor where you see the pickup points on the, not the pickup points but necessarily, but the installation point on the for the ABS rings on the rotor, whereas it doesn't have the same spacing. So this spacing matches this wheel, but the ABS ring doesn't have any provision for it, right? Because on this one, the rotor actually provides a place with the thread for that Phillips bolt to kind of bolt on in place. So you have to get a ring like this, which doesn't look anything like the other one. You see, this one has the 6 pickup points that are matching the 6 bolts that you have on the wheel. So I picked up this one from eBay. So we're going to be reusing this rotor with this old style of ABS ring for the bike. All right, so there's nothing special on this one. I'm just going to be removing the bolts, which I think I'm missing one, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to install them, get them installed, and then I'm going to remove them anyway. So I'm going to do that. For now, I should be able to locate this like so. As of right now, my biggest intention is just to get them installed so I can try them on the bike and really ensure that they fit well before I go crazy and go into the next step. I'm gonna bring you closer so you can see it. I'm not intending this to be a how to install your wheels, but if you need that video, I'll be happy to do it at some point. So essentially same thing. So I'm going to align this in here, and I'm going to put this here for now. I'm going to reuse the spacers that came out of this Svartpilen wheels. So they go like so the wider area to the outside of the wheel. Okay. I can show them to you later. And now I'm going to try to align this. Oh, spacer came out. Going to align this. Okay. Spacer is about to come out. Let me put it again back. Okay. Axle almost already through. It's slightly just like bolted in. So now I'm going to be doing this by hand. Just putting the caliper here. Oh, okay. So don't forget the spacer. Align this here, perfect. So let me get the thread started. I can now push the axle all the way. I'm not going to torque it down because I'm only going to take it around the block just to check that the ABS is not going to go crazy on me. Okay, I tighten left side. Now with a 13, I'm going to tighten this one, perfect. I'm going to make sure that this is spinning freely, okay? No interference with the bolts. ABS is just there with the ABS ring, so it should be fine. And now I'm going to tighten the pinch bolt on the fork. Like I said, only tighten by hand, not going crazy with the torque because I'm only going to take it out for a quick spin and I'm removing the wheels right away. I'm not going to go fast. This wheel is not going to come off. Yeah. Very important step that you never want to forget. Ensure that you have pressure again, because we were playing with the brake pads, so you want to make sure that you have pressure again, so you're not riding your bike and all of a sudden you find yourself with no brakes. All right, so like I said in the other video, I did not intend this to be a how to remove wheels, but if you're wondering, this is a 20-second and then you have a 17 on the left side. The left side is not moving, which is why I'm only undoing this. This is my first time removing this, so I'm going to ensure that I'm keeping everything apart. So I'm going to do this. This goes on top, and there's nothing else here. And then I'm going to push the axle. Pretty standard for all motorcycles. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on spacers. I see a spacer. It's very tight, so I don't think it's going to come off the same way others come off. This, I can remove the caliper, leave it hanging, and pull the wheel. All right, so I wanted to go over the options to do this conversion. It takes a second, to kind of realize everything that goes into play. Although there's a lot of information out there, not everybody tells you everything. So here I am, just to share, what you can do. Essentially, this is the Svartpilen hub for the spoke wheels, and then this is the hub for a Duke 390. As you can tell, this is wider or heavier than this one, which of course goes along with the spacers they provide whenever you get one of these kits, or actually not a kit because I do not have a kit. So long story short, for the rear, you can reuse your rotor, and then the pickup point for the ABS ring is not the same. If you look in here, this is the pickup point for the three bolts going into the ABS, and look at how different they are. So they are more kind of on the outside of the rotor, and then these ones are more on the inside. So what you have to do, in my case, I had this rotor that I could use, and I actually already put in the bike, and I confirmed that it works, but this one has some like a wobble to it, so I'm not going to be using it. So for now, I'm going to be replacing it with the one I have on my Svartpilen, but in the future, I would love for this to be a very easy to swap, where if I want to go dirt, if I end up kind of using this for a road, kind of more road-oriented wheels or tires, and then I want to keep this set up as a more dirt oriented tire, then I want this to be as seamless as possible. So I would love to have rotors on both wheels with their own ABS rings, so that I can only have to kind of swap the wheels and that's it, as opposed to having to change everything every time I want to change. So I'm going to be on the lookout for getting the additional part, but as of right now, I'm going to be taking everything from my wheels so I can put them on these, and I'm going to go ahead and install them on my bike. So first thing I'm going to do is just to heat up those so that I can melt the Loctite a little bit, so I can remove these bolts and I can remove all of this so I can use it on this wheel. So the bolts are out, no drama. Now I am going to install, oh, it's hot. All right, so you can tell, same pickup points. So I'm going to go ahead and install one. I'm reusing the bolts actually. All right, so here's all of them. And now you can tell this is the old ring. Old ring didn't fit necessarily, so we have to use the new one, which is going to have, you know, different pickup points. Once the bolts are down, I can, you know, position it in place. But one thing you may want to know is that the bolts that came from the spoke wheels that are holding down the ABS ring are not the same. So I'm going to put them back on the other wheel so I don't lose them, so I can keep the ring with those wheels. And now I'm gonna have to, you know, provide for 3 new bolts for these wheel. All right, so I found 3 bolts that, man, are the same. All right, so let's go. Let's start this. We're using the same sprocket, and then I have now my own. So each wheel is gonna have the cush drive. So the rubber things they stay with the wheels. I also have now a hub for each of the wheels, so which you have to do, I guess. Now let's go ahead and install this. It's difficult to capture everything. I put these 2 blocks in here just so I can get the tire as close as possible to where the axle is gonna run through. As usual, I get these on the channel, and then since I have the 2 blocks, the rotor, it's already inside of the pads. I just realized that I forgot to put one, so I needed to put this one here. Okay, so now that one is there inside of the hub. Very important. Okay, so now I can move in. Keep an eye on this spacer on this side. It's wanting to come out, so I gotta move. So I gotta move this way and play with this a little bit. Run the chain through the sprocket. Let's go as fast as forward as possible. Oh yeah. You gotta be kidding me. Now this thing is kind of like getting in the way. No, don't do that. I don't want to cut it because I don't want people feeling like this is super easy. I keep telling you, there's times where, hey, they get very fastidious. All right, so I was able to run the chain, but of course now I do not have space for this. So what I'm going to do, drop everything, put the spacer, and now bring it all the way up without the blocks, getting the rotor inside. Oops, spacer came out, so maybe instead of having both, I can put one. Have to adjust. Okay, so I have the spacer in here. Chain's already on the other side. So let me see. Now what I'm going to do is just to be ready with this so I can start running. It's either the spacer out. Okay, so everything is in. Now I'm trying to. Okay, everything is aligned. So now I'm going to be pushing the axle. Axle is just showing right here. So now I'm going to align the blocks, the axle block on the other side. Continue to push. Made it all the way out. Have the spacer, have everything, and have the rotor in here. Install this like so. Washer, nut. There was no adjustment on the chain, but I'm still going to use my screwdriver to lock the chain and pull the wheel as back as forward, as backwards as possible. Okay. So, and now I'm going to start tightening this side. All right, beautiful. So it's fully tight, not torqued. I just want to make sure that it's moving freely. And now I want to show you the distance, you know, the ABS ring. I can show you the bolts I was using, and I can show you, you know, the clearance that I have. So no concerns. So the bolts are actually going through without any issues. I have the spacer, everything, and there's no wobble to this rotor, which is the reason why I did not reuse the one that was already on this wheel. So this is perfect, very important. I still have to torque it down, but if you are going to do this, pump your brake, because you pushed out the brake pads, so now they're back in place with the, and you're gonna have brake whenever you get on the bike next time. So let me show you the bike. Both wheels are on, and as of right now, besides putting some air in the front tire, we should be good to go to at least just take it for a spin. Make sure ABS is reading correctly, both rear, ABS in the rear, and then ABS on the other side as I just showed you. Actually, let me show it to you a little bit closer. You can probably see now the ABS is sitting perfect. So the ABS ring or the sensor is right there, just right in front of the ring. So it should be, you know, very good. So no issues with the brake caliper. Clearances are perfect. So you I'm very happy with this. I love how the bike looks. I love the spoke wheels. To be quite honest, I've never had any issues with flat tires with, you know, tubes or whatnot, but I heard of people having trouble with that. So having cast wheels that I can use for maybe one day I want to go super far, and I don't want to have that in the back of my head. I don't want you to have that in the back of your head, because there's people probably riding bikes for 15 years that have never seen it flat. But if it happens, you need to understand that it's a little bit different. But there's new methods right now to fix on an emergency. tubes, using, whatever that slime or whatever, that is a specific design for tube tires. So that's not the big deal. I love the look, and I love how I can get creative with, changing colors, making it fit to the 401. Right now, it looks a little bit shocking. It's kind of growing on me, but the paint is not the best, so I'm still gonna change it. But it looks cool. It looks different. So hopefully you remember everything that I mentioned. But let me see if I can get it all out in 30 seconds. All right. So for the year that I chose for the Duke 390 wheel, I was able to reuse the same rotor that came with the wheel, and I had to get the same ABS that was compatible with that mounting point, like I showed you when I was installing the wheel. For the rear, I got the same Duke 390 wheel. I can show you dates and years and whatnot of the ones that I got. And I had to get an ABS ring because the pickup point, or where the ABS rings is installed, is actually different from the one that came with the Svartpilen. So you're not going to be able to reuse it, but you can reuse the rear rotor, the brake rotor. That's the same, so you can still reuse the same one. That's actually the one from my Svartpilen. And then you need to get the hub or the carrier that mounts on the sprocket, because it's actually wider than the one on this Svartpilen. So that's something you have to do. Otherwise, you're gonna have issues with, the wheel actually not fitting correctly on the axle. And then with this setup, you're gonna need another spacer that goes inside of the carrier, or the one that designed for the Duke, because it's actually wider. So you need a different spacer that I can show you on a picture as well. And you can also use as a reference the wheels that you can get from Svartpilen, so you can see kind of all the parts that you're gonna need for the swap. If you're smart, they go for very cheap on eBay. But people are using RC390s for track and whatnot, and eventually they're gonna crash, and some of them are going to be beyond repair. So I actually bought my wheels for $100, both of them with the front rotor. So I only spend the money on getting the carrier on the rear, and then the ABS ring for the front and the rear, because I had kind of different fitment issues with the wheels that I chose. But the ABS light went off, so that means that the bike was actually able to use the ABS and read it correctly. So we are good there. The bike feels amazing. So I'm going to be weighing the wheels now, so you can kind of see the difference between the spoke and the cast, so you can further convince yourself if you want to do it or not. Otherwise, if not, then hopefully this is just for entertainment, and you can see how you can kind of swap some of the parts that for the KTM husqvarna family, and you can kind of make them fit and make your bike your style and kind of make it your own. So thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your support, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.